It's been a busy few days, man.
I've
We're
thoroughly enjoyed it. So,
we're
hi everyone, welcome to Crow's Nest with Katie and Todd. People are
yes.
coming in. We'll just we'll start opening up the space, the sacred space of our conversation, and welcome all of our friends to join us here in love and peace and unity for another week
Right.
of conversation and realness around this ride that we call Ascension, and wherever we find ourselves on it. So, it's good to be here. Hi everyone.
Hi
Todd's
everyone.
shifting, so I'm just gonna talk for a few minutes while that goes on. So it's good to have you here. I'm gonna smudge while our
Smudge,
friends come and
smudge.
join us.
Just tell me to smudge off.
Smudge right off. Yeah, I
Todd's.
burnt. I had a smudge. I was laughing at myself because I was using a smudge nubbin, like just this tiniest nubbin of smudge, and I actually had to use like scissors, like a roach clip at one point,
I've
just to
never
have
heard
smudge because I ran out. I was like, oh my god.
I've never heard
The
of a
things that you
smudge.
do on the spiritual path. I don't know about you, but I think one of the things that I like the most about it and that I think I want to open with today is how many moments you have to sit back and laugh at yourself and or are truly amazed at the synchronicity of this process, or just how amazing it is that we are able to line ourselves up into the spaces and the opportunities, the friendships and the connections that we are able to, when we open our hearts and surrender to the path. Because I think, I guess the reason I want to talk about it is, I know people feel heavy right now. And so part of my job here is to keep it, go real about the heaviness, but to also keep it light. And
Yeah.
also to invite people to remember, that it's okay to laugh. That, most of the time, things whenever people are crossing dimensional boundaries, like what is happening still, it can be very, very challenging. And really, I really invite people to connect to this part of the spiritual paradigm or the ascension process that is about joy. I had a client that I was working with earlier today. So hello to her if she is joining. She's actually met you in person, Todd. So she's somebody that the Soulology Network brought together with me. And I don't want to say
Whoa.
her name for confidentiality.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
And so we worked together, and one of the things was, what is it that we need to change sometimes on our path? And it was it's remembering that your inner child is, one of the main aspects and one of the main parts of your internal guidance system. And so, a lot of our lives and a lot of our spiritual journeys, we're always looking for the galactic aspect, or we're looking for am I a dragon? Am I a unicorn? What am I? And so one thing that you were and you still are, that is really important, that I think is a really fun thing to invite back in over the Christmas season, especially for those who celebrate, is the joy of being a child and the importance of integrating your inner child and your childlike way of being and doing things as a really valuable and important part of your path. Because, although some moments we feel difficult, what is super important to remember is that when we are doing what our soul's purpose here on earth is in the new paradigm, we're supposed to feel pretty good while we're doing it. Of course, everybody has a day where it's hard, but it's rooted in a joy experience. And so who knows the best about joy? Your inner child. And even if you were an abused child and had a really difficult childhood like I did, one of the things that you do as part of your healing is you take that little girl by the hand and you start letting her have the life that she never did, and, allow her and her joy and her innocence to inspire you, And so I just wanted to start off with a little talk about that today, Todd, if that works.
Yeah. I saw a meme this morning when I woke up. It said I went to hug my inner child and the little asshole bit me. I got a kick out of it. But I have all respect for my inner child. That's a very deep, beautiful, wow, intense. I haven't actually thought about him in a while. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think you should go ahead and proceed with this. Absolutely. And
Well,
I had a question uh, from the audience that I was going to bring up later, and it's along these same lines. So keep going.
okay. There's a lot of different things that shift as we go through our healing process, right? And one of the things that has been difficult for a lot of us in terms of feeling alive in this world is the creation of scenarios where we don't give ourselves time or the energy or the effort, to have fun, to explore our interests, or to really enjoy just being here on Earth. And, a lot of solar plexus, a lot of sacral chakra energy is being worked through in these last few days. And so, well, I guess it's been weeks now, really. And so in that energy, it's also a lot of the collective clearing. That's sexual trauma. That's a lack of having things. That's the war mentality. It's, the ability to believe that you can achieve or that you deserve love, and it's right now where the collective is at. It's like, I think it's time for them to remember that part of themselves, but also light workers too. I work with a lot of brothers and sisters who've been on the path for 20 or 30 years. And they kind of get to this point where they're like, well, what do I do? I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing it right. And it's like, but are you making space for joy? Are you connecting and calling forth those parts of your mission that are fun? And I also extend this out, and this is a theme I spoke about back in May. And I extend it to all my brothers and sisters now. It's time to start calling forth the knowledge and the memories that brought us joy. We have healed a lot, and I'm never going to say, don't do your karma clearing, don't do your soul retrieval work, don't do that. Like, you have to do all that. And, that can be kind of intense. And you kind of go through your shadow if you've got it. But, just as important, if not more important than that, is the fact that we're the ones that are here to call this stuff through now. And a lot of the awakened people, and that includes everyone here, you are a valuable source of information and soul experience. And so, we as a community have been on this idea of a spiritual path that was a bit of a slog, and it was, because like up until very recently, it felt crappy, mainly because we were still in a different paradigm. So now as we switch the paradigm, one thing that I find myself feeling the need to remind my friends about is that, guys, you can call forth your mission in a way that's going to feel good. It's up to us to decide if we want to continue having initiations as a trial by fire type of a thing, and it's like, we need to live in joy and experience joy in order to be able to create and maintain our energy level to stay at that reality that people call New Earth, but that I just, to me, it's all one. There really is no split. It's just different people having different experiences. But it's like, what becomes confusing and difficult for people, I guess, in these moments is that in connecting to New Earth vibration, you have to very specifically disconnect from other vibrations. And that includes an astral space. Oh, I'm sorry, go for it.
No, I was agreeing with you. I was like, yeah. And I think one of the things that, I haven't had a really bumpy ride on a personal level. I really haven't. This last wave of energy that came in, this 16 hours of spiked Schumann resonance and all the days before and after and the full moon and all that stuff, there was a lot of people, and I don't exclude myself from that. And I don't include myself with that either, but I saw a lot of the frequency of projection and all that, and we're used to it all. But what I'm starting to remind people of, and this was kind of the question that somebody had thrown at me for us to tackle. What do you do? What do you do when that happens? And I think we all know by now. You go into solitude if you have to. You protect your space. Do whatever rituals you need to. Get out of that atmosphere. But what I'm starting to get is, when these things happen, we know right around the corner is a big shift, and it's it's like you're talking about. We're entitled to have fun. We're entitled to be happy. We've worked our butts off, and enough of this Mickey Mouse stuff.
It's our job to invite it in, because as people who have formed the system of ascension, we formed it with our history. And so a lot of people and the things that people heal themselves through or like raise their vibration through are some experiences that were not that nice in the history of how we got this planet to this point. and what occurred as part of the great, you know, what some people call the great experiment. I call, you know, the variation of the ascension paths. And, you know, integrating that stuff doesn't always feel great, but we hadn't really gotten to this part. Really? So now that we're here, it's our job to say, I'm going to have a nice time doing it now. Because, you know, and this is one thing that kind of goes back to the ancient mystery schools and stuff, right? Like, so during the Great Forgetting, there was also a lot of abuse of psychic power and a lot of abuse of the system that we have been turning back on, you know, as part of today. And so, you know, I think in some ways, some traditions, in an attempt to protect the power that comes with personal realized self-actualization, you know, of what you are and what you're capable of, I think a lot of what they did was put it behind a lot of rituals that, you know, were there to protect the knowledge, but that also kind of helped form us into this really awful, nasty kind of trajectory of ascension where things felt pretty bad. And I mean, we had to go through that as ourselves and as a community, I mean, in order to learn and or balance stuff. But, you know, whenever I spent a lot of time thinking about karma, working through earth karma. One of my favorite topics, you know, how this is changing and shifting. And as it's shifting now, the way that the wheel of karma was built isn't necessarily how we are going to be working and operating with energy and frequency in 5D plus. And, you know, as we continue to dissolve the bands of those other realities, by being real with the situations, what we're doing is we're releasing the foundations upon which that whole system sat. And so a lot of what people say, you know, their karma, their soul contracts are based on a trajectory that we have fundamentally shifted and transfigured into a whole other dimension, in some ways creating a whole new one. And so, you know, it is also our job and high potential to just say, hey, guys, as I'm calling in my alignments this season, I'm going to make sure that joyful experience is one of them. You know, like when was the last time that people who are super duper serious on the light working path, some of us forget about that, right? And so, and I mean, like, I was one of those people, and I spent many of my lifetime years being super intense, and I'm still intense, but I'm way more balanced with my child now. And, you know, a lot of other things that I used to attract me with my intensity don't happen anymore. It's as smooth as that. It's because I allow joy to lead it now, as opposed to determination. It's a different vibe, man.
Yeah, you know, and that's one thing we use you as an example.
Well,
I'm in a happy
mood. Pretty hard at what I do, and I've been around a very long time.
No, I want to say something. It's a compliment. And,
Thank you.
But it's also
Damien hears you. Damien hears you.
Come here, Bruce. Damien, I wish Damien was here. He could come lay with me, man. So no, you know what's cool though. But okay, again, it's a compliment to you, but it's a characteristic that you're seeing more and more of our brothers and sisters, and that is to really know yourself. You really know yourself. You know your personality. You know your energy. You respect all parts of it, and you learn to manage your energy without taking anything away from your power and your energy. And I'm talking in particular about your dragon energy because I share that type of frequency as well. What's up, Damien? What's going on, man? Yeah. Yeah, we need to have that animal.
He loves you so much.
Animal telepathy television. But no, I think it's you see more of that. You see people saying, "Hey, I have this trait, and I have this energy, and I respect it, and I'm going to utilize it when I need it and how I need it." You know, I think it's a beautiful thing for people to know themselves so well, and you know, that's kind of been my trip is having to learn the different aspects of me and align them, and you know, turn on the dragon when you want to turn on the dragon or need to turn on the dragon, and so on. And the angel.
That was the one I had to learn how to integrate. That was a hard one for me to integrate because there's so much power and emotion, and you know, like I don't know. I'm just kind of super Damien. Damien wants to be on camera for a second. So everyone,
man, he needs to be. Damien, what's
up? Tell him hi. So he said he'll go with you in the nap.
Well, you know,
next time you take a nap, he wants you to call for him.
Huh?
He'll go with you. He loves you.
Okay.
He considers you his friend. And, you know, back to your path and the whole thing. So I was watching your interview this morning, and this is another thing about waking up story. I was watching when you shared your wake up story. You were with another guy. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you were talking about your path. And you were saying, yeah. And you were saying, well, so is this. You know, that's what we're sharing with people, is how to understand this. And all you got to do is understand and apply. Fast Track is available to every single person.
All the time.
But so you were saying like you didn't feel like you had this major serious journey, you know, just now. And I'm thinking, when I was watching you this morning, I was like, so because, you know, remember we talked in private about how we saw you outside of the councils, and you were going basically to the councils with this mission and asking for people to collaborate with you, which we'll talk about again, collaboration in a few minutes. And I said, I remembered seeing you. And that was right around when you and I began this friendship, and we started working together. And, you know, and so what I understood then was that you were from a certain, you know, star population, I thought probably Syrian, and that you were here maybe from the future, you know, to help integrate this universal broadcasting system, among other things that you're doing in other dimensions that you're probably learning about a little more today. And that's why you were a little shook. And so I was like, holy shit. So basically, Todd went through his initiations that we took a lifetime for in 7 years. Because when I was listening to your story, you know, about your life on the road and just the things that you experienced, I know that you have made your peace with it, you know, more or less. I mean, however much we can all make our peace. But it was like, that was a very intense journey that you went on. And I know that, you know, you're tough as nails. So for you, you know, you've already understood it and integrated it, but that was a fast track to ascension in itself. It's like you came here. I don't know what happened, how you activated, how you woke up, but it was like you came here and you took every lesson you could in the human form about a variety of very specific, you know, information sets. And, you know, you passed your test, you know, and it's been really interesting getting to know you, you know, in an astral sense, and becoming your friend and becoming part of your mission, and, you know, being one of the councils that took you in. And just, you know, it's amazing how whenever you allow yourself to have joy and fun, which is initially, you know, for example, why we connected, you know, and why we did this show, and why we're working on this project with Lisa, you know, and why we're doing all these things. It's like when you follow your heart and you do things that you feel like you're very happy about, you feel love, and you take the time to nurture them and let them grow, and you don't rush, and you get to know. It's like possibilities, like the alignment that we have going on with this Soulogy network, are opening up in a way that only pure love could create, you know? And so I think a thing that I want to remind everybody who feels lost sometimes is like, you know, write that email. Take the chance and send that picture, you know?
Yeah, I saw a meme yesterday I shared, and it said, you know what, sexy? Effort is fucking sexy. That's what it said. And man, you just gave me a bull rush of downloads. You know, we've all paid a price, and I hate to put it that way, you know. But it's you know, you brought that up today, and I was looking for material to upload, you know, because I test stuff and just see what, you know, see what's going on, different things, and I forgot about that till you brought it up, and I actually have forgot about that whole journey, because
it's not you anymore.
Yeah, I know, you know, but you know what, you know, a lot of people would say, you know, they'd say to me, hey, why do you always talk about that? Because I used to talk about it. That was my life, you know, that was my journey, that was how Soulogy was born, on the streets, and all the the 90% of it that I've never talked about. But you know what, I feel different about it now in this moment. You know what, I look back at that time of expansion, 2 years, and I look at that now, and I love that guy. You know, I know that it was a deep soul, you know, soul journey, but at the same time there was a very powerful ego that says, I'm not giving up for nothing. I don't know if that was soul or ego, whatever it was. I love it, and both of it's me. But my point is, you know what? I don't. I say, okay, the past is the past, no matter what it is, and it's not here anymore. But at the same time, there are attributes, there are connections there, and this goes for all of our journeys. As the individual goes, so goes the collective. You know, these times when we have persevered and pushed through and accomplished things, even when our heart was broken or whatever the case was, because we all went through these traumas. Man, just to grab that lightning bolt to frequency again, and to ground myself in it, you know, yeah, I respect the hell out of it, and I mean that collectively. I mean that for all of us. Our journey has not been something other species have done, and we're converting this thing. You know what? I gotta say this too real quick. You know, you hit me with some downloads here.
That's what friends are for, man.
I'm getting a lot. It's true. I'm getting a lot over the last few weeks. Lucid dreams.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of memory coming in. And I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago. Yuki is going to be on later today after this show. She's seen me in the councils. I've seen her in the councils. I've seen you in the councils. People used to talk about this all the time. I've seen this. I remember these things. Yeah. And what we're doing here, whether it be what we're doing here in the Soulogy neighborhood or anybody else in this world, what I wanted to say is that it's not just what's happening here. No. We're doing this everywhere. And it's so important to remember that the individual exchanges and interactions that we have each and every day, be they, hello, how are you doing? Putting a smile on your face or doing something for somebody, has huge energetic implications throughout all dimensions. Hey, Damien, thank you for letting me share that. Damien.
That's needed to be on the screen too. And so this is actually the perfect segue to one thing that I'm feeling really inspired about. So I told people that me and you, like, you know, I think that I love the transparency that happens now with people coming in and out of councils, because we're meant to be talking about it and not in a hierarchical way. You know, I'm not in a council making decisions for all of Earth. We're just groups of people talking about how to achieve tasks, basically. We're like, hey guys, this is like a thing we kind of want to do. Does anybody have any ideas? That's what a council is for the most part. It's like a think tank, right? And you're in your think tank, you're out how the heck to do something, and then you execute tasks. And so that's kind of what a lot of them are, or at least most of the ones. Some people are overseers, but who really cares about that? We're coming back to Earth being its own overseer. So as far as I'm concerned, we're continuing to dissolve that hierarchy every time we take another leap with our collective consciousness expansion. But the one thing that I really wanted to talk about now is the idea that we're making for the 12-12 intergalactic peace. But also, my whole thing that I got really excited about, right? So there's a whole huge part of Ascension that came along with the part that came since Atlantis. So we've got the whole Christ thing, it's the 12 strand plus DNA thing, you know, the solstice season is part of that. We have the whole Christmas season gateway that really has nothing to do with Christmas, but also has a lot to do with star alignments and travel paths and the ability to anchor certain frequencies of codes into our DNA. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun as part of like the 12-12 workup to, you know, invite people to share different stories about the inspiration that is the beauty of the ascension process and or the creation of Earth or anything. You know, one thing that I'm excited about right now is that lots of people watching this are having very specific memories about, you know, where they come from, what their star population is doing, you know, what was an important part of what they had to come here to contribute as part of Ascension. You know, there's a whole lot of sharers out there, for example. Me being one of them, one of the lesser known ones. You know, we all come from very specific trajectories.
That's right.
You know, very specific alignments of how groups of people were basically working to support this. And, you know, I feel like one of the things that is very important at this point is unification of the tribes. Yeah. And unification of, you know, and I guess in so doing that, a blending of the awareness of just how awesome the work that has been done by mine, yours, however many groups of people, and how it's all kind of become and is beginning to layer into one, because, you know, we've already achieved peace in the stars, despite what some people say.
That's right.
That's already done.
Yeah.
And so now part of it is to really knowingly begin embodying that peacefulness in our community and embodying that, and really taking our time to share about how this all came together, and maybe in so doing that, people will begin to understand and appreciate what a precious gift this is. What a miracle, the fact that this whole ascension thing is happening. And like you said earlier, the fact that it's happening here on Earth, like, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to celebrate right now.
I'm with you.
I'm ready to celebrate and learn more and, you know, and collaborate and expand, you know?
Yeah. And I'm ready to do that now.
Well, we're working on it.
I know. No, and so everybody knows 12/12. It's not all figured out yet, but it's gonna be and we're broadcasting, if anybody's noticed, we're broadcasting more hours every day. We're running more and more material. And but on 12/12, which is a very, very special day, we all know that. We also know that the solstice is coming up 10 days after that, and of course there'll be a full moon, new moon, all that stuff. But 12/12, Katie had an idea to really kind of have an all-day broadcast with the major emphasis on probably 2, 3, 4 hours with Katie and I on together. Katie taking us through ritual, ceremony, I guess is a better word, and to her point earlier, to maybe have people drop in this format and bring 1 or 2 more screens on, and have people testify, 5D style. You know what I mean? So we're pulling that together, and she's the one that thought of it. So I'm just here for the ride.
Well, if I talk about peace, then I better be ready to embody it with every part of my being. And I believe in it so much, and I get very misty talking about this, because a big part of what I know I'm here to do is help to unify the tribes and unify the people. And I guess, the whole idea, I do a very specific form of ascension ceremony. And so I share it with you guys here. And I do it all the time. And part of that has to do with my direct link with the Earth's energy systems. And so I want to have a ceremony. One part of it would be, a ceremony with people who normally don't come together, like as big as we can make it, of forming our intention to unify in peace and to signify that we are ready to to bring forth a huge wave of ascension energy and to ripple that throughout the dimensions and the universes, making peace the call, our contribution to the next wave, not only of planetary ascension, but intergalactic ascension. And I think, we're going through a lot of rippling right now, and a lot of choices are being made. And I feel at some level, in order for us to continue to complete the realities and for us to be able to continue to ground it, we do need to come together at moments of times, maybe like this one, to say things like this.
Yeah.
And then the others, there's so many great people that are here and have their own very specific messages, but also it's all the same. And so I was thinking, like, even, I would like to invite people like Sandra and Shakina and Lisa and all of us, to make a true show of the showers. How often do you see a lot of people that are sharers together in one place, unless it's a conference where there might be money? Yeah. It does happen, and I'm not saying it doesn't, so I'm not criticizing anybody, but I'm just saying that I feel for a vision. I mean, if we're unification, when we are creating one, then I think that this might be a nice time to step forward and really demonstrate that. Yeah. And then, like, people have other stuff to say, even like a Hollywood Square is kind of a thing, where, like, I've already kind of started organizing this through Love Wave, and people are like, okay, I'll get a group together and we're all going to meditate at home together and join in from where we are, and I just, unification on any level and more levels, and sharing this publicly right now will help us to craft the idea. Because, even though I'm a master of ascension ceremony, and part of my job is to share that it exists and show people how to do it, a true master of ceremony does not ever make the terms of what that will be without considering the collective who is going to be part of it. And so we begin calling you forward now. All the people who want to participate in this, and let's begin unifying. So I'll get some stuff out about that in the next day or two, just in terms of practice exercises for high vibrational meditations and different things we can focus on. Like, this is an important time, and I want to, I'm ready to work in high vibe alignment with anyone else who wants to contribute in full love, pretty much 24/7 at this point. So, ready.
Yeah. I think it's wow. This 12/12. I don't get caught up in these numbers. I'm more now than I used to. I never even paid attention, but man, this 12/12 is it looks like it's, I don't know, like almost like a big clearing, like a watershed moment.
Well, part of it is
Because
because we've made the choice to make it so.
yeah, yeah, and it seems like since the 1st of October, there's been more and more clarity. We're still having these waves and everything like the last few days. But again, people are pulling out of it quicker and gaining the ground and not taking things personally. That's the key, man. Because, like we were talking about earlier, these memories that are coming in, we're starting to see the interconnectivity of it all. And we're starting to understand that, yeah, as important as the human hybrid soul is, there's all kinds of other aspects that comprise us. It's an incredible, it's a huge amount of downloads and whatever you want to call it, memories that are coming in. That in itself is difficult, which is why there's so much emphasis recently, like with Lisa Brown and a couple others. I have saved the files here on the computer. I can't remember their names. A couple of ladies talking about the importance of the body. The body is the universe,
This is your ship.
Yeah.
The one thing.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the traditions, the whole idea, right, was that Jesus, but also others in time, have traveled around through their light body, the rainbow. Think about Joseph in the Technicolor. Code. It's the rainbow code. It's the rainbow. And so what that is, and I was just having a talk with Julie about this. I can't think of the author's name, but he wrote a book called The Son of Sion, which is where I read about this the first time. And he read another one called The Watchers. And in that book, he talks a lot about paintings. So he looks at, I guess what you would term religious paintings that have existed throughout disciplines of art and time, and how many holy ones have been represented as having this rainbow light body. And this rainbow light body is what they consider to be their tool to travel through the dimensions. And what I've experienced is, your light body, when you turn it on, this is your light body. It's not just some abstract thing that exists outside of you.
Yeah.
Part of the wake-up process and the transitioning dimensions is getting yourself to a vibrational space where it will operate. And, I think the one thing that is happening right now, too, that is super fun, and I remind people about, is that these waves also bring the chance for you to really finely and nerdily craft your energy body.
Yeah.
Like I've been in, so I'm a gatekeeper. I'm busy this time of year. Out doing, always. Like, when am I not? I always do this 24/7. This is my passion. There is nothing else for me. I have friends and family and things that I do while I'm doing this, but this is it. And, whenever you're, I guess a gateway is a thing, it's already open for people. The potential of what is coming and what is coming next is already there. You just have to begin calling it forward. So 12/12 is a day that's important, yes. Solstice, yes, important. But part of the reason why they remain important, especially a day like 12/12, is because we're calling forth universal forces to make it so. How do you think a gateway gets aligned? I mean, there is the star alignments with how an Earth happens, like how the Earth is light up and how that intergalactic kind of interdimensional thing happens. And that's a sacred site thing. We'll probably talk a lot more about space next year. But, it happens because we create that with our teams, with our alignments, with all of the work that we're doing on the multiple different levels that allow us to be able to step in and use these huge waves of energy to shift a lot, and so right now, actually, I feel we're in the shuffling period where a whole bunch of other stuff that's about to get shifted out is ready. So that's kind of what you're saying. And then, but also, it's like, you can have the new stuff now if you're ready. You don't have to wait until the 12th to call it in. It's now is a really good time to start resetting your energy boundaries. And, like I've been focusing on on releasing any particular contracts on abundance, anything stopping me from visibility and stuff like that, because I found a couple left about ideas about humbleness that I needed to get out of there. There might have been a tinge of martyr energy somewhere behind there, but I don't know. You never know, right? You get the layers are going, and but it's like you were able to begin crafting it now.
Man.
We're all still always changing and shifting. Nobody is perfect. Not one soul on this earth who occupies a body is.
Yeah, I mean that, and Yeah, I mean
Thank
that's what I
goodness.
was saying. The whole taking things personally. You know, we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Um, we can have exchanges, things can occur, you know, and you move on with it. Um, you know, this last few days, this last 7 to 10 days, there's been a lot of energy flying around,
Oh God.
and you know, I see people. It's beautiful because I see people transforming.
Hmm.
You know, I see it in the work that I do, and I also see collective energy transforming, especially the last 3 or 4 days. It's like whoosh, you know, it's just like this whole, you know, like a vacuum cleaner is coming in, like you said, and sucking out all that stuff that's not real. And like you said, we don't have to wait till 12/12 because that stuff that's been vacuumed out. It's created space for this superabundance, and I think that's really what it is. I think it's superabundance, and that's much broader term than just what we would normally think of in terms of abundance from this 3D paradigm that we came out of. This is a
Yeah.
superabundance is a more clear you know, recall of our multidimensional aspects, memories, skills,
Mhm.
abilities. You know, I'm sitting here, and this happens to me not all the time, but it does with you, especially now since I'm over here on the other side, way west. And so when I get up in the morning and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I stay up till about 3 working, and so I'm up and I'm still half in dream state. I'm still half off planet, and then I'm talking to you, and all this stuff's coming in, and I'm remembering the things from the night before, and you know, it's becoming more and more seamless. Is what I'm getting at, and I think that to me, think about the frequency of superabundance that's going to bring in memories are going to bring in, you know, being able to carry you know, the off planet stuff with us when we get up the next morning and go to work. You know, we're going to have, you know, clear directive, clear direction, and instruction, and you know, our trajectories will continue to converge.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like if you still go through adjustment moments,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like you 24/7 know exactly what you're doing. I mean, that
No.
kind of takes the fun out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I have to be honest, like I've been really working with this term superabundance. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's just that I think it's cheesy,
Is
but
it?
I find myself, I like that you brought up the point that you did because I find myself being limited in terms of how I think about it.
Yeah.
And so I've revisited a number of times, and thank you for bringing it to the attention here too, because, you know, for me, I don't know. And I mean, like, obviously, if I'm hung up on the idea that superabundance is a silly term, you know, maybe there's a vibration, though, that I think is going to match that. No, that's what it is. I'm being asked to think of another way to think about it. Okay. See, good conversation brings you to understanding. So, yeah, I'm having a resistance to the concept, maybe because the word abundance is in it in the first place. And so I feel like I'm really working on finding different ways to think about that. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I really enjoy the minute parts of
Yeah.
ascension. Now, I had something else that was important to talk about, but
Yeah. I'll give you one.
it seems
I'll
to have
give you one.
gone. Oh,
Yeah.
what was it? It was
You don't
really
remember?
good. It was fun. No more fun for anyone. We're on the. I feel like we're being really serious today.
Yeah. Let me
I
tell you.
feel like
Let
we're
me
being serious.
let me tell you what happened over here last night.
Okay.
And this goes back to what you were saying too, superabundance. I don't think there is a word. I think it's you know, Lisa Brown talks about the tones, how she went around for a couple
Yeah.
of years with earplugs in so she could hear the universal tones, right? I get a lot of tones. And anyway, last night we're over here at the house, me and Milana, the lady, the beautiful lady that I rent a room from, and another guy that lives in the house. And this, you know how crickets make that noise, you know, that whatever it is.
I love that noise.
Well, this noise that came, and
Frequency.
Milana's been here for 35 years, all right? She's like, "What is that noise?" Right? This noise was not, I'm convinced, was not of this planet,
Probably
so to
wasn't.
speak.
Well,
And
those ones are okay.
it was loud. I mean, it was like
Mhm.
I can't reproduce it, but it was very loud. It sounded almost unnatural,
Yeah.
but it was natural. And so when you said that about the superabundance, I don't know why it popped in my head, but there's no coincidences. But my whole point is, I'm having these moments, and especially since I've been here, where these sounds or these vibrations or these waves or all of the above all come in at one time. That's to me telling me you're walking in that, what we're futilely trying to describe and using the term superabundance, but it's a feeling. It's a feeling that actually has see, touch, feel it. You can actually.
I'm working it through my energy body as we're talking about it, and just nerding out about how to think about bringing it in that way. Because I think a lot of things, vibration. The words sometimes need to be recreated. The vocabulary can be different. Now back to your cricket friend. So I frequently have visitors by crickets in places where there should not be crickets, at times where there should not be crickets, in very specific moments. And Julie does too. Wasps. And then today and recently for me, it's moths. They'll just show up randomly. Like one day a moth just flew into my bedroom and laid beside me and died. And then its body was like, put me on your altar. I'm going to help, work through what we're working through for the season. But it's so that we have messages from spirit ourselves, the universe, to come to us through animals from this dimensional plane of perspective of understanding them. So like the crow. But there is also other times where these animals are most definitely representations of interstellar frequency, and they have chosen those bodies through which to communicate with us. And crickets and the harmonizing hum that they use is perhaps one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
And they were definitely there giving you a message. And I remembered when I wanted to talk about it. Yeah. And it's funny that I almost forgot it. So a lot of also really fun stuff is going on in astral space for people right now. And so what do I mean by that? Well, for one, there's training schools going on all over the place, where a whole bunch of people are learning skills or practicing skills or doing things that I think are going to lead up to what they remember when they come online in the next couple of weeks, months, and years. Because there's new ways, like I said, those of us down here, there's new ways of doing things that we're creating as we do it, which is why it takes us up. Sometimes, that's what the role of a way shower is. That's what that means. So there's also this stuff going on in other dimensions. And like one that I remember that I'm very happy about is we were working on manifesting crystals, the major crystals, back into this dimension, and how to move them through dimensional overlays so that we would be able to kind of replace the crystal structures and I want to say crystal cities in new and different and more visible ways, because, the ceremony that I want to do, say with us on 12/12, and the type of ceremony that I do in short on Love Wave and on my live broadcasts, like, where that's really meant to be done is at a huge crystal center or with me at some form of a site and with as many people as us as possible there, but we can also connect in through astral space. But, joining together for major ceremonies and, making it like a pilgrimage event for us and stuff like that is, and not just for me, but other people too, as part of how we're going to work on reharmonizing and continuing to set the frequency vibration of Earth. And so, big parts of how we continue to become embodied as a collective is by recognizing that we are one. And, so the reason I do a lot of the stuff I do now is like my little humble way of helping us all connect back to the memory of those skills, because the time for us to use them, and on 11/11, us and I know all kinds of other people called forth peace. We called forth the energy of peace. What have we been transfiguring as a community for the last 3.5 weeks? A lot of not peace. We did that on purpose. That's part of this. And the alignments were favorable for that. And that's good. Yeah. We called that forward because we were ready to deal with it. And I'm going to be honest, although I don't always understand the path that some are on, I think we've done a job that is, I think if we're ready to unify in this intergalactic peace ceremony, it kind of puts the door closed on that. And I don't know. I, for one, am ready. And, I know that for some people, the thought of peace is like, well, you're leaving people behind and you're hurting them and you might be, but it's like, no, my friends, I understand that there are some people who work so hard for so long in certain paradigms that it is very hard for them to let go or to think about change. And so if you're a person who hears me saying intergalactic peace and you're like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, I do know what I'm talking about very well, because I've been here and I've played this game for a very long time. And I don't call rank, because where I live now, rank is dissolved and it doesn't matter. But a person can see the depth of a soul in the sound of their voice. And so in the sound of my voice, what I want to say is, if you haven't thought about peace yet, or why that can't work, maybe today is a really good day for you to try. Maybe today is a really good day for you to bring that thought into your mind, you know, and really begin saying, hey, like, if I can't think about peace, why can't I think about peace? Am I resisting it? You know, just like I had to sit down with that friggin' word superabundance and still working on it. Like, why do I have a feeling about it? What is it inside of me? And, you know, that's my, you know, and so as you kind of uncover your connection to it, you're also helping to release things, because, you know, it's okay to change. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I'm at. If you haven't thought about peace, or you think peace is impossible, you know, what next?
That's a really great point. That's a really great point. I'm going to say three things. One, it's a great point.
Ready.
Whether it's peace or somebody in the lesson of self-introspection and taking the soul responsibility, the self-responsibility, and like in this case, you're talking about the word superabundance. You're saying, hey, what is it in me that's having a problem? We take that with anything. That's the rule of the road here. That's the way we move this thing. So back to the peace thing. The third part of it is, and I love that you brought it up, is because number one, if we take that same self-introspection and just take the word peace and say, okay, how we can't have peace in my family circle. We can't have peace in my country, in my world, in my village, in my workplace, whatever the case is. Because what are we doing? We're saying because so-and-so won't allow it, because this will never happen, because that, what I want to point out is A, we take that responsibility ourselves, and B, understand the universal impact that the thoughts that we carry have, because that's really where we can make the biggest impression, no matter who we talk to, no matter what show we get on or don't get on, no matter what post we write or don't write. The thoughts that we carry are what are dictating not just this earth realm, but across all dimensions throughout the multiverses. And it is our gift. It's not like, oh, this is your responsibility, you need to do this. No. This is the gift. This is what we are. This is the third side of the triad. This is creation itself. This is what we are. And this is it. You know, it's life, it's living and maximizing it now. And that's exciting to me. That's what I see happening from this 12-12 and from this point on, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much boils it right down to how I feel. And I mean, so, you know, imagine if all of these people choosing this regardless, and then coming together with a whole bunch of other people choosing this, and then a whole bunch of people who, you know, are ready to connect in and anchor energy into this intention and are ready to contribute this as one of the building blocks of our experience. You know, we are the architects of light. We are the ones that are building the infrastructure of New Earth with every thought, like you said. And so, you know, some people, you know what I mean? I know some people who go into astral space and they create entire worlds from their heart. And you know what? I know that as we continue to ground this, the ways that they have connected their heart and imagination to what's happening in creative space is eventually what will ground it in this reality as well, for those who are, you know, ready to connect to it on that vibration. I know that's very esoteric of me to say and very out there, but like, I think that's where we are ready to recognize that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is why I feel like, okay, so we agree that 12/12 is an important day. Maybe a whole lot of people who have a whole lot of, you know, from a whole lot of different perspectives, with a whole lot of different interest groups, are ready to unite and call forth that as our main condition, you know, and to just go from there, because it will create a wave. You know, all of these gateways do. And the point of it is like, we are the broadcasting system. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting real sensitive to, you know, my news feed, what I see when I surf on the news feed, and I'm not judging. I'm making a decision to remove, you know, and it's not like happening all the time, but if I see something real political, real polar, from, you know, peace is a word we use a lot. And again, from the center of the universe, which is ourselves, whatever is most extreme from us or most distant from us, what we used to disassociate ourselves from, these are the places where that offer the greatest opportunities when we can integrate these polarities. That's what this whole trip's all about, man. I mean, it's like, shadow. We talked about, for years, shadow work and all that. I mean, you go to the place that makes you most uncomfortable, and that doesn't mean you got to have a conversation with this person that you're totally, by the 3D standards at odds with, or on different ends of the spectrum. We can do this work. We can do it etherically. We can do it from the seed of creation, which is imagination. And this stuff isn't fantasy. This is real, and this is another thing I think we're going to see in 2019 on a collective level, when we start seeing this magic that you were talking about earlier with the rainbow.
So look at this now. I mean, I'm going to open up a field of energy. So this is the energy of peace that I've already started building. Because when I host and when I get ready for something like this, it takes peace to set your energy to be pure and to be ready. And so this spectrum, you can probably sense it is very white, clear, but it also has gold sparkles with silver, mostly gold right now. So this is the energy of peace that I'm working on and generating and practicing and agreeing with. And so, if you guys like this idea of peace and you want to contribute to this, not just on 12/12, but all the time, maybe one thing that you could begin doing in your meditations in the next couple of weeks is really thinking about what peace feels like, what peace looks like. Connecting yourself to the peace experience and allowing yourself to become an open conduit for that energy into Earth. Now it's turning peach and rose gold. There's a different version of peace, a different frequency coming in. It's not all going to be one color, one kind. Part of this also, right, is that peace is a tapestry, so just like everything else is. And so if you want to work on bringing frequency and practicing on the frequencies in here, just focus on the thought, focus on the intention, focus on building, that ball, or you can build an energy ball, call it forth. Here's a big, maybe this piece is a little blue. Maybe this is going to your soul group and the work you were doing. So pushing it in, there's the piece. Feel it?
Yeah.
Every person watching this broadcast can do that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of opening your heart to it. And I really hope to continue inspiring people to do that because, like I said, this is a big part of the journey.
It is. It is, and it needs to be talked about.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of my main roles was to come here to remember this craft of ceremony and to teach it again. So I think I'm really happy with that. I've been doing these things for a while, and it's like, I know some people get frustrated. And I have too sometimes, because you're like, why am I doing this thing? I feel like nobody's noticing me, nobody cares, nobody's paying attention. It's like, just keep going and keep creating. Because sometimes, you creating, you're slowly building up that beacon. You had that experience with Soulogy, Todd, and sometimes it takes a little knitting to make a sock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah. There's a question here, a couple of questions from Susanna Keating. We've still got a few minutes. How do we connect? Connecting through imagination during meditation? And how can we go to these astral training camps, and I guess anything astral, and remember what we learn?
Okay, so I can't give you a full answer on this right now. So how do you connect? So if you do the crystalline core exercise that I teach you, that's one way to connect and to get yourself high vibe. Because what you're doing there is you're aligning your aspects, right? And you're bringing yourself in alignment with your primary ascension timeline. And so from when you do that, so you connect, I'll just do like the 2-second version because this is how quick I do it, but there's the long version for people who are new here. I don't want you to feel excluded. So you connect to the crystalline core and you bring the crystal energy and align it all the way up your body, up your energy system, connected, creation, creator, pull that energy down. You're now in a column of light that is crystalline and creator. Pull forth the highest vibration of energy that you can get. Call in your primary ascension timeline. And now set the intention to create in alignment with your highest good and highest good of all in service to ascension. And you can create right from there. I mean, calling the forth and opening up your energy field to that possibility. And then, like, when your body wants you to pick up that pen, do it. You know, when you want to do that random Google search, sometimes creation isn't always drawing a thing. Sometimes it's remembering something and then anchoring that into earth. You want to do that random Google search, go for it. You want to watch that movie, do it. You're not allowing yourself to connect to the things, you know. So you can also, in meditation, call forth your sacred knowledge. You know, so get into a meditative state of mind, just like I taught you. Sit there and envision your ancient knowledge coming in and awakening itself. You know, it's already there. So some cases it's a lot of just raising your vibration. And then the astral stuff. I mean, I have a skill session called Astral Exploration that I'm selling for $20 that answers your question in a number of ways. But the short answer is, you know, if you really want to work on the astral work and connecting to it, is setting a pure intention every day to remember the highest vibration of experience that you're having in the astrals. You know, the more that you work with your soul and the more that you work to unify your energy field, the more likely you are also to be able to wake up and call that stuff forward. A lot of people wake up in the middle of the night and they kind of remember things and then they think, oh, I'm going to remember that in the morning, and then they forget that they even did that. So when you're one of those people that wakes up in the middle of the night, check it. Mm-hmm. Write down that thing. Do that Google search. I swear to you, I woke up the other day and I can't remember what the word it was. Monster something. Monster something. And it made no sense. I typed it in. I wound up with a map of the Scottish Highlands in exactly the area that I'm planning a trip to.
See? There you go.
Right? And so that's kind of, and so then for me, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I got a whole lot of information from this map, but it opened up a whole lexicon of potential, which is then how I connected to the creation and the knowledge. Right? So it all kind of comes together because your astral stuff, really connecting to your astral stuff has a lot to do with being having your soul unified and having turned on your upper level chakras, because that's where a lot of the communication comes through. And so, yeah, really just honestly setting the intention does a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we reprogram.
Yeah,
you know,
so I'll post the astral exploration course on this, and again on my Facebook wall. On Indicrow Energetics. Maybe it's been in my mind to share it again, because I know that a lot of people are in space school, and I actually talk about it in that session, because it was for moments like this when people are working on safe astral passage, remembering what they're doing, how to go to space school, how to go to council, you know, all of that stuff is there. And I'm happy to receive the exchange to fund my next mission trip, which could be potentially very far away, maybe to wherever you are.
Very far away. Yeah, I'm not even thinking about the next one. Let's get on with this one.
That's what I mean. I'm going to go to probably you and then Scotland.
Yeah.
At least we'll see what the alignment does.
I think we're headed for alignment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, guys. I might go see Todd in Hawaii, and Morgan will be there.
Oh my God.
Maybe I'll get to meet Lisa.
Yeah, this is going to be I don't know, man. It's day by day, you know, it's day by day. Yeah. I was supposed to go work with her today and tomorrow, but we both had schedules. So it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. Right. So I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot happening over the next 3-4 days.
Mm-hmm. I have that feeling as well. I feel like some really good stuff going on with the divine masculine again.
Yeah.
Like really heart opening, divine masculine, heart healing, beautiful integration. I wanted to make that note too, because that's an overarching theme. Seeing some really beautiful growth in that way this week. Yeah. Seeing some people opening up to this that were never really open and new in different ways, and that excites me.
Yeah, I think so. Like that energy as I see it now. I'm not putting that on any physical gender. Just the frequency of the true divine masculine. Yeah. I see it, and I see it as it's softer, but it's that I don't want to say warrior because of the old archetypes, but it's nice that energy that says,
nice one.
Yeah, it's that energy that says, hey, you know, we love unconditionally, but hey, no more. Mm-hmm. That's enough of that, and we're not going to get caught up in it. We're not going to fight you with it, but we're just going to keep keep moving forward and blowing light out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm seeing that in a lot of people, and maybe that's part of the energy of this. I don't want to say reconciliation or reunification, but this
We had
piece
to
that we're
process.
talking
And I
about.
mean, I think we're done with that.
Yeah.
I think we're done with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if other people aren't quite done with it, I believe that they will be eventually. And, you know, it's not my job to tell another person what to think. And as soon as I go, if I become a vigilante to put my perspective on someone else, then I'm no worse than what I would be opposing in that case. And so I like the point, you know, and I like the spiritual advice for late November seems to have been stay in your lane and stay in your seat. Stay in your seat and stay in your lane. You know, you might casually glance to another lane. Maybe you would think about intersecting. It could happen. But mostly just stay in your lane right now and let people take their course and trust that yours is also okay.
Morgan has a saying: if you look for it, you'll find it.
Yeah, and you will. And
So
you will.
You might want to give a quick look, but I don't think anyone's going to hit you or come in your lane on the Soul Highway. They're not going to knock you off your square. So
oh my God, Todd, the amount of initiations I put in my path to make sure that I stayed humble and real is incredible. And I don't take those out because I want to stay humble and real.
That's right.
You know, and I don't have, it's not like terrible initiations, but I get checked quite a bit, you know, about whether I'm going to be a hothead or, you know, as a person who has been a dragon, I'm used to just doing things very differently than I have to now because nobody cares that I'm a creation dragon on Earth. I'm Katie Indicrow now. So, so I just have to do things in a gentle way. Talk about the integration of divine masculine, right? It's like, learned how to soften a lot this year. It's probably my thing that I'm most pleased about in terms of my personal development is softening a little bit in terms of how I approach things, learning how to be more balanced.
And I see that in you know, the both genders in the physical.
Yeah.
I see it as equally important. I'm almost to the point where I'm getting tired of this whole masculine and feminine when it comes to the physical gender.
The words do need to kind of get dropped at this point in some way. We're just reproducing the dichotomy. And I mean, to be honest, it's not only, it's masculine and feminine are in large ways just a Western creation anyway, because there are multiple spiritual traditions who have recognized 3, 4, 5 multiple different forms of what we have chosen to label as gender. And so I do feel like the fluidity, you know, like two-spirit people where I'm from, the Mi'kmaq, you know, and so that's a thing. And throughout different crowds, throughout different tribes throughout North America, you know, you've got stuff going on down in Thailand. Like this is a different thing, and I mean, we could do a whole other show on that. But yeah, I like ending on that point. Is like we got some of these words, like God. Can we take the hierarchy out of that word now, please? Because like, yes, we're all gods, but I still feel like when we say it, can we just call ourselves creators? That seems a little more neutral.
Yeah.
And empowering, you know.
Yeah. Divine spark. I don't know what the words are. You know what? It's not even words. Let's just go out and do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's rock and roll.
Okay. Well, that was good. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah. We got 3 other shows, I think, or 4 lined up today.
Ooh, who's on today? Let's give everyone a shout out.
Let's see here. In 30 minutes, we got Yukia Azora Sandara. You know, she's been on quite a few times. She's got quite a bit of new light language graphics and song, and I'm going to back her up with some music. We always have a very activating show. Then at let's see, this is 4:00 Eastern time. Michael Abramson talking about divine masculines rising.
I'm sure I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear that.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Michael's really cool.
Of course.
He's got you know, quite a pedigree. And then at 7:30 Eastern, we're going to go into the Da Vinci Spiral. Zaveta's been putting out a lot of stuff. You know, very bravely sharing her feelings and her journey in terms of the transition of her only child, which occurred 7 months ago this past week. And you know, it's an incredible thing to sit there and know someone who's doing that and doing it so openly. It's very brave. I still think
probably helping a lot of people by being out there and doing it. You know, that is very brave.
Yeah. I think that to me is, I still say that after 650 shows now, that the greatest activations we have is when we open up our throat chakra and share our truth, whatever it may be. You know, however inane or whatever somebody may judge it. Just we put it out there like that, and I have a lot of respect for people that do that, and I think more and more people are doing that. So it's a busy day today, the Soulogy Network, and some technical stuff getting done. So, but we're not on the linear, no deadlines, but this shift is going down.
Their deadlines are named like that for a reason because they kill inspiration. So we're working on alignments. What matters is we get closer every day.
Yeah. Okay, Damien. I'll see. Where's Damien at?
He left now. And he has his say, but he is back and he says, Todd, he wants you to connect with him in the astrals, please.
I will. I'll do that when I take my nap before I go down to the beach today because I am going.
All right. I'm actually at nap territory right now. So much love, everyone. Good show, Todd.
All right. You take